To start things off by just explaining why I wanted to do these exercises. I'm a big believer that we can take bits and parts of our favorite artists, what we call our influences into our vocals, and better performing our own vocals. And so this exercise, I wanted to know what really drove you as a vocalist, as a musician in general. And so I wanted to see, to do this exercise because I wanted to see what made you basically. And I thought this list was just a great starting off point. I was impressed with the amount of people that you went through because this is a great list. It really, really is. All for different reasons, all kind of similar in different ways. But just a great kicking off point to see you as you. I wanted to start things off by going over a little bit of Gregory Alan Isakov. You say that the reason you're into him is because it feels so vulnerable and raw, and you can literally hear the movements that he makes with like his mouth and his throat behind what he is singing. And you say that he's, even though he's not a perfect singer, it almost comes off as effortless. And I thought there wasn't more of a better example than some of these parts right here.
Desert flowers waiting for rain, scattered seeds along the plain. Storms will swell, the days will fly. I'll love you like the passing time.
The rawness he puts behind his vocals, that's what we call a timbre. It means warmth, colorful sound. The timbre he has, the vibrato he uses, these are actually the reason I wanted to start with him is because I feel like you guys are very similar in this aspect. You also have a very strong warmth about your vocals. Some of the things that you're into about him is why I'm into you as a student. Like your voice is unique. You also have some of that effortless singing, even though it might not come off as 100% perfect, right? There might be parts where we still have to work, of course, but the way that you're doing it when you're performing live, when you're performing for me or whatever, it comes off so natural, so raw, that it feels like, oh, he should have been doing this his whole life. He's been doing this his whole life. This is just secondhand nature to him. And I feel almost exactly the same way about this man here. He has such a warmth in his vocals that I think we can take bits and pieces of. I think if we add some of his similar vibrato-esque styles, maybe some of his hummings and stuff like that, I think that's some of the stuff that you can implement in your own music and make you even more dynamic. The next one I'm going to go over is a little bit of Bright Eyes. I find it quite humorous that you say this guy, it feels like he got pretty drunk and he just started, spouting his own personal stuff, he's at a bar, he got drunk, and he's telling his different stories and things that's going on in his life, and it moves you through the way he's delivering his story, right? I couldn't agree more. A perfect example is literally right from the start from his song.
I don't wanna risk our paths crossing some.
I don't want to risk out past crossing immediately. You get that sense of like, that is what we call a swaying movement, right? It's almost like he's sliding around on each beat. I don't want to risk cause it literally sounds like he's drunk. And then even in the chorus, when he gets, when he's singing with the female counterpart.
Or us asleep, leaving, she wakes up and says, I dreamed you were carried away on the crest of a wave. Baby, don't go away. Come here.
I don't want to wait for baby to just come and it almost sounds like he's lazy when he's singing, but that is pure skill, honestly, genuinely. He probably did have a little bit of liquid courage before he decided to perform something like this, but that doesn't mean that what he's doing doesn't have a lot of skill and technique behind it. Slides are exactly a thing that I think that we, maybe not always, but we could definitely implement some of those things for you. Next one I wanted to kind of go over was Sam Bean, Iron and Wine, right? It's you say that his voice feels very light and free, especially with his falsetto. When he jumps into it, it sounds like his chest voice is breaking away to make room. I feel exactly what you're saying. He's a very, very breathy singer. Everything he's doing has such a unique style to him. And when literally right off.
Then when the cops closed the fair, I cut my long baby hair and stole me a dog-eared map and called for you everywhere. Have I found you?
Going into that. Have I found you? When he's flipping into his falsetto, this is something I would love to get you eventually comfortable into doing. You know, you have such a strong voice. I think the next dynamic that we could really start teaching you is that light falsetto sound where it only adds an extra even if it's just a layer in the background of your melody, right? Because your voice is so dynamic, it's not like you really need falsettos, but just an added layer in the background to make the ambiance of your vocals even stronger. Have I found you? Is such a pure. He's breathing out so much for when he's doing it. He's literally it's like he's just. It's just all the air is coming out at once when he's doing something like this, and it's so unique and so special that it makes him that much more pure, that much stronger, that much better. I absolutely believe, that this is something that I want to try with you. Like your voice is Thomas, it's so good. And I think an added layer, an added element of a falsetto, of a breathy sound will only make you more dynamic. But just food for thought, of course. Noah Kahan, he is the flavor of the month for everyone. He's the guy that's in right now. Him, in the way that his style is, he's brought a whole new wave of folk music. Essentially, he's like the head of it. He's the new folk, and it's beautiful, and I love it. I love it so much. You say that when he's singing, it feels like he's pleading with his listener to believe his words. Absolutely. I you know what? I do believe every word that he, for anything from like Stick Season to like, I mean, he's got so many, master, All My Love, Someone Like You, or Dial Drunk, all these different things. Every word, I believe in everything that he's throwing at us, right? It's beautiful, it's strong, it's dynamic, but it still comes out with such a unique style. This is also the same thing I was talking about when we go back to like a Sam Bean, for instance, where it's layer on layer on layer. This is the perfect example of what I'm talking about, where he will have his melody coming out and just an added layer in the background to add that dynamic.
But I ignore things and I move sideways until I forget what I felt in the first place. At the end of the day, I know there are worse ways to stay alive. 'Cause everyone's growing and everyone's healthy. I'm terrified that I might never have met me. Oh, if
he's got a baritone. ho. He's got a tenor in there. Ho. And then he's got that added dimension of another tenor on top of it. So it just adds a harmony on the top end, and then there's another layer on top of that. 4 layers, all with a bunch of reverb like this. It only makes that sound so much prettier, so much more unique, and dynamic when his melody is I'm not na 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 na. That is absolutely, I think, something that when we get into the writing, back into writing, that I would love to experiment with you on, just adding those dimensions. And it's a wholesome, strong, believable sound. Bon Iver, really the originator. He's the first guy that I fell in love with to want to get into music like him. He's early 2010s, 2015. This song Whole Scene came out 2011, right? And so it's like it is beautiful. Everything. He's the branch that everyone fell to. He is as dynamic as it gets. You say that you really like his head voice and a balance of grit and the purity that's similar to a normal chest voice. I absolutely understand what you're saying with this. He has such a grittiness in his vocals, but it comes off as pure. How does someone do that? How does someone that has such almost an added distortion, how does someone emulate that but then still sound pure? It's so unique, and this is a perfect and also layers. You're in the walking off the feet, and it's the bottom baritone, the melody. But then, you're in the walking off the feet. It's every word is like you're drawing attention to the emotion, to the strengths and of what he's into. Like it's such a unique timbre. Break it down to the chorus. I think he's absolutely someone that I always am trying to emulate. It's almost like the Eagles, who is one of the very first bands to have like 5-part harmonies. He hurts the way, he hurts the way, he hurts the way. Literally, there's 4-part harmony right here. That is that added layer that I keep harping back to. Like I said, it's just gonna make your melody sound that much stronger, that much more emotional, that much more beautiful. And that balance, like you say, of that grittiness and purity, it does almost sound like he's singing from his chest voice. It's such a breathy sound, though. The reason it sounds like he's using his chest voice is for some of those harmonies he is, right? But the way he's so unique is everything that he does is a layer, so that it comes off in so many different ways. Even for something like Skinny Love, for instance. Come on, Skinny Love, just last year is such a pure sound, but on top of that, he's got another harmony. Come on, Skinny Love, just last year. And so that it comes off as almost this echoing sound. It's dynamic, it's beautiful.